Sustainable fashion. What is sustainable fashion and why is it important? Well, sustainable fashion refers to fabrics that are made from environmentally friendly products, such as organic fiber crops or even recycled materials. Sustainability has become an increasingly important topic as we're starting to push the planet's limits. And some say after oil and gas, fashion is the third most polluting industry. Fashion as a whole, from the manufacturing to the transport, depends on a variety of other sectors within the top 10 most polluting industries. This can include agriculture and road transport. So if fashion could become more sustainable and promote sustainability, the rate of environmental damage across the supply chain can be reduced. The clothing industry employs millions of people around the world, so any business models or practices that focus more on a sustainable practice will positively impact everyone. This can include the large corporations that manage multinational demand to the local retail employees. This talk will discuss how fast fashion has an impact on the world, sustainable companies and their missions, and how consumers and businesses can move from fast fashion onto sustainable fashion. Well, what is fast fashion? According to Merriam-Webster, fast fashion is an approach to design, creation, and marketing of clothing that emphasizes making fashion trends quickly and cheaply available to consumers. This comes with an immediate need for economic, social, and ethical changes to be placed on the agendas of management. Sustainable fashion aims to create thriving habitats and societies through its production. Water pollution is one of the major environmental issues that surround fast fashion, as it is a common practice for textile factories to dump untreated, toxic wastewater directly into rivers. This pollution creates an excess of toxic substances such as lead, mercury, and arsenic, which is hazardous to living species in and around these rivers, as well as the local communities who rely on these river water as a key water source for everything such as bathing to even drinking. According to The Diplomat, Indonesia's Citarum River is one of the most polluted rivers in the world. This is mostly due to the 444 factories set up along its bank. According to the Jakarta Globe, of the 444 registered textile producers, only 380 of them are equipped with the proper wastewater treatment plants, as required by law. The production of garments itself is wasteful. A single t-shirt takes 2,700 liters of water to make, the same amount of water an average person would drink over the course of 900 days. Not only does it take a lot of resources and effort to produce this clothing, some of the clothing even ends up being unused. So where does all this unused clothing end up? Well, more than 60% of fabric fibers are now synthetic, which means that they're derived from fossil fuels. So if and when our clothing ends up in a landfill, only 85% of it will decay. Nearly 70 million barrels of oils are used each year to make our world's polyester fiber, which is now the most commonly used fiber in our clothing, but it takes more than 200 years to decompose. Evidently, clothing has become more disposable, and as a result, more and more textile waste is being produced, and this increases the need for new clothing to be made, which contributes to the unsustainable cycle. An average of 30 kilograms of clothing is thrown away every year by a person in the Western world, and only 15% will be recycled or donated, and the remainder will go straight into the landfill or be incinerated. Synthetic fibers such as polyester are non-biodegradable plastic fibers and can take up to 200 years to break down. The global fashion industry is generating a lot of greenhouse gases, and this is because of the resources it uses to produce, assemble, and ship these millions of garments purchased each year. Synthetic fibers such as polyester, acrylic, and nylon are produced from fossil fuels, which makes manufacturing much more energy intensive than if they were to use natural fibers. Most of our clothing are made in cold-powered countries such as China, Bangladesh, or India, and this is the dirtiest type of energy in terms of carbon emission. James Conca, an editor at Forbes, stated that cheap synthetic fibers also emit gases such as N2O, which is 300 times more damaging than CO2. For the 72% of our garments, synthetic fibers are used, and 10% of our global emissions are accounted for by the fast fashion industry. Fast fashion environmental impact is beyond damaging, and sustainable fashion is needed in order to make our earth cleaner. Now that I've just given you a bunch of reasons to transition from fast fashion into sustainable fashion, you may be thinking, where can I buy clothes that have been ethically made and which brands promote sustainability? A huge designer that is sustainable and makes her clothes ethically is Stella McCartney. She's one of the pioneers of environmentally friendly fashion and provides alternatives to sustainable wardrobes. The designer's fabrics include organic cotton and ethically sourced wool and recycled textiles. Another brand is Rag & Bone. Rag & Bone is a luxury label that is sustainable and redefines urban style as it's all about local production and sustainability. Rag & Bone uses recycled materials to create their products. They take denim donations, and in exchange, customers receive any discount on full-price products. Katie Jones is an eco-friendly designer focused on UK knitwear that combines quirky fashions with strong ethics. I'm a huge believer in supporting our local brands and businesses, and a business that supports sustainability by recycling clothes is Retold Dubai. Retold Dubai, formerly known as My Ex Wardrobe, is committed to upcycling these secondhand wardrobes and giving new life to clothing. They accept high street labels as well as designer labels and let you sell your clothing as long as they've been used efficiently and not damaged. Another local designer that promotes sustainability is Meariah. This Moscow and Dubai-based brand is breaking fashion norms through its use of faux fur, organic cotton, and recycled polyester within its clothing. So, you may be asking yourself, how can I become more sustainable with my clothing choices? It's all about the small stuff. For example, buy fewer garments, buy goods of high quality that last longer, and invest in key timeless pieces in your wardrobe, which you can build off of. A little rule that I like to use is if I see something I like, I ask myself, do I like it enough that I would replace 3 pieces of clothing in my wardrobe for it? Consumers can look into buying from secondhand stores. Secondhand stores would also extend the life cycle of a product by 2 to 3 months and reduce its carbon footprint by up to 10%. Purchasing from a resale shop does not necessarily mean buying used. At Retold Dubai, 25% of the 10,000 products are brand new, but they're only sold for 1/3 of the price. So take the time and research in what you're buying. I believe that small, independent brands that value sustainability as an inherent part of their bottom line put pressure on these big brands to collectively clean up their supply chains. Thus, we need to support these smaller brands. They may not be able to compete in numbers of sales, but they can certainly add their voice to the overall fashion conversation. And social media is making it easier than ever for these smaller brands to get their marketing message out to potential customers. We need to reach out to these brands on social media in order to expand our horizons and really make a difference. What are some ways that big companies can become more sustainable? Well, when retailers want to shift, instead of greening stores and distribution, they should concentrate on the manufacturing. In 2016, fiber processing, yarn storage, and fabric production and dyeing led to 97% of the global climate effect within the apparel industry. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this talk, is I really want you to think about your clothing consumption. By taking the time to think about your clothing consumption and keeping in mind the journey that a single t-shirt takes, or even a journey has gone through and its carbon footprint, you are more likely to realize what's a necessity and what's an extra want. Thank you.